I think I got it. An idea, a way to reinforce one of the points that I've made previously in one of my videos. An enlightenment, I would say, struck me. Basically, as the reader, I would like to be unable to notice the puppeteer behind the story, or, in other words, the writer's intent. And as the writer, I would like to try to keep my hands off the story, let the protagonist do whatever he wants, not lead him through a series of checkpoints. Instead of asking myself, what do I want to do as the writer, I should be asking, what does the character want to do? I don't want to put everything underneath some main storyline, and I would rather allow for events that have no connection to something grander, small, self contained plot lines, and then as the reader, I do not need every single detail within the story to lead towards something great, some kind of a conclusion, every step the protagonist takes to have some special meaning in the end that takes him closer to the goal the writer has in mind. I am definitely not saying that having something larger brewing underneath the surface of the story is incorrect, or that I would dislike it in every single instance. It's just not a requirement for me to like a story, and in some cases it can even hurt my enjoyment of a story when I just can tell that everything the protagonist receives, everyone he's introduced to, every interaction he makes has some kind of a hidden purpose, and that comes a full circle to something else I've mentioned before, which is planning before writing the story. I am absolutely sure that it's not possible for me to write a story that I would like with no planning whatsoever. On the other hand, I wouldn't mind to read such a story if it was written by someone way more skilled, but it all comes to my grand conclusion that I want absolute freedom for my protagonist, even though it's a pipe dream. In reality, with the way writing exists, it's definitely not possible. It's not even an ideal. It's really just nonsense, but it's still something that I would like to do my very best to achieve. Now, when this is over, whatever it was, it's time for the rapid arrows. Last time, Mira got injured in an attempt to save a boy's life, and now someone wants to become a new member of the club, even a temporary replacement as the leader of the club since Mirek is still in the hospital. A rather boisterous boy of larger than small proportions called Bamboo comes full of confidence and is immediately ready to join. Wearing green and white, he is convinced that everything is settled the moment he put in his application. Well, the rest of the club members are having a short meeting, and while they are deciding what's going to happen, Bamboo is boasting to some other boys that everything's already done and over, and that he is going to be the new leader of the Rapid Arrows, and that the rest of the members are just going to come up with some easy pretend tests. and they come up with tests. First one being that he needs to acquire the badge of agility, which for someone who barely fits into his overalls does seem a bit scary. He even has an excuse ready that he was seriously ill, a flu that he suffered through 2 years ago. He is supposed to jump a rather tame height in high jump. He not only breaks the bar, failing to jump over it, he even buries his knees into the ground, screaming that he's been buried alive. Well, at least he has that in common with Speedy. Him and Redcap shouted something similar just a few pages ago. But well, the first test is a failure, but there are more to come, and the leadership position is not yet completely lost. Next test of flexibility, he's supposed to touch the ground with his hands from a standing position. All the other club members immediately perform that. When he tries, not only that he can't even reach his knees, but the buttons of his overalls just give up and fly far away from their tormentor. Well, this test was not successful either. Next one, riding a bicycle, which, according to Bamboo's own words, is his strong suit, so this one should be in the bag. Well, he is somehow riding, but it doesn't last long before a pesky fence stops him in his tracks, leaving him laying on the ground with a bunch of stars circling his head. Yet another failed test. The last one, badge of strength, means to do 5 pull-ups on something that I would assume is a football gate, which honestly, considering that it's quite far from the ground and the grip is not exactly ideal, would definitely require a decent amount of strength. So even though he is not required to do some muscle ups, but on the other hand, he has a lot of gravity to fight. He requests assistance in getting on top of the gate, and when he is finally hanging, the poor construction just can't carry Bamboo in his full glory and starts going down all wonky before he can even attempt to do a single pull-up, marking even this test as a failure. 4 out of 4. The rest of the club members inform Bamboo that he failed and will not be able to join the Rapid Arrows. He learns about this decision sitting on a rather thin plank, just some wooden railing, and he promises the Rapid Arrows that they will regret their decision. They will beg him to come to their club at some point, but he will be adamant, unshakable, and right in the middle of his last word, the poor wood gives up under his posterior, landing him firmly on the ground again, and the chapter ends with a small note by the author that the readers should exercise in all ways possible so that they won't end up the same way as Bamboo. In the next one, the entire club is getting ready for Mirek's discharge from the hospital. The club room is being decorated, and Speedy is in vain trying to teach Bubbles to give the right paw instead of his left, leaving the poor duck completely confused. They even visit a florist to buy a flower to congratulate Mirek on his recovery. Speedy is in charge of buying it, and his main concern is for it to be really, really nice smelling. When they get the flower, they are ready to head towards the hospital, and we see the sore loser, Bamboo, watching them from afar, trying to come up with a way to have his revenge. Mirek is supposed to be discharged at 4 p.m. and they are already waiting for him. Speedy has been especially pompous with marching and parading, carrying the flower, almost bending over backwards while walking. And then Mirek finally emerges from a passage carrying his things to the great enthusiasm coming from all the club members. They are truly happy that their friend is safe even after suffering such an injury. They are full of congratulations, handshakes, and recommendations that he has to take it easy for at least some time. Speedy tries to get Bubbles to show the trick that he's been teaching him, but unfortunately the poor dog again forgets and is all confused, but it's all in good spirit. And at the end of all this, it's time for Speedy to hand over the flower in the name of the rest of the club. And what happens next is for the future video where I'll be talking about something that I tried to avoid just a little bit because it's a long talk about a subject that I'm not entirely sure how to approach, so it might take a while. And then I'm also going to continue with more adventures of the club called the Rapid Arrows.